You'd be picking it up.
Beyond me.
You want to read the little paragraph, Gary, and open the meeting, and we'll see if we can get this to.
Open the meeting. So it's 3:04, so I'll call the CPA meeting to order. We have in attendance, we have Paul, George, myself, Christine, Nate is on remote, and Deb. So this is to formally advise that is required by GL Chapter 30A, 1825, and pursuant to Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021, an act relative to extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency signed into law on June 16, 2021. The Yarmouth Community Preservation Committee will hold a public meeting at the date and time above. The public is welcome to attend either in person or via the alternative public access provided. Okay, Don, do we want to go right into our first agenda item, which would be the Front Bass River?
So we're gonna try to get this to be big enough for Nate to be able to see.
All I can see is Nate.
For some reason, Nate, your box has taken up most of the screen here, but. Look,
I can see it okay.
okay, because Rick has Rick has a solid presentation.
Yeah, yes, he is. He's muted.
Okay, well, that was kind of a last minute loop you threw in. But
Okay, so we have a chart, if you could envision in your mind. I don't know if we can see it, but Rick is going to explain his project and what they like to, for us would be phase 2 of the French Bath River. We're on the Culver design right now.
That's part of it, sure. Thank you very much for inviting me in today, and I appreciate you accepting our application for phase 2 of our funding. I thought I would take a step back and give you a quick explanation of what you helped us fund for last year, because it's pretty significant. See on my chart, the 7-mile Bass River. We're talking about the upper Bass River headwaters here. And this is an area that has been designated by the Division of Marine Fisheries as prohibited for fishing and shell fishing, and the water is so unhealthy there. So our project is essentially from here, the very intimate, no, it's not true. It's from North Ennis Road Culvert, which is a very important part of this. Then the 57 acres that go west from this area here. And it's pretty significant because last year you helped fund a 60% design report, as well as analysis of the culvert. This here is part of this design report, and it talks about the man-made dikes here and reestablishing the natural herring run that we there and beginning to restore the historic wetlands that are now in a retired cranberry bog form. And this is the area to the west of Weir Road, and we would establish a natural meandering brook there, not brook, but stream that would allow the herring to get back to their natural Mistach's Pond area for spawning. So all this resulted in these 2 documents, pretty significant documents that talk about the reestablishment of the wetlands, which are tremendous carbon sinks and nitrogen sinks. So it's a natural way to restore the quality of the water. And I mentioned the North Ennis Road culvert. It is there. It was It's a 6-foot wide culvert right now. And with the opening of the railroad bridge, we have a pretty serious constriction. Part of this plan was developed by the Ty and Bond engineering firm, and they are recommending a 60-foot wide bridge in that area. So we have this document that takes us through the early parts of the planning stages for that. And it would seriously eliminate the flow issues we have. We get more water up to Mill Pond and exchange it. So it'd be a natural cleaning procedure. As Gary mentioned, what we're here today is to ask that the CPC consider funding phase 2 of our project, which would be exclusively the permitting process. Permits would apply to both the culvert and all of the project to the west of the end of Mill Pond. From there, once we were able to get our permits, which take approximately a year to get, and it's a very comprehensive package of permits that would address all aspects of this project. I think you saw that we have a cost estimate of around $90,000 to apply for all the permits. But what that would do, if we were successful in getting the funding for that and successful in being awarded the permits, it would allow us to apply for significant state and federal funding to begin construction. And that's really the key, is if we're able to begin this process, it would really allow us to reap the benefits. And as I mentioned, I think in my application, there are some side benefits to this that most people wouldn't naturally think of. Coastal resiliency is a very big topic these days, because with sea level rise and increased volume at the river, this would naturally create an area for the increased water to mitigate to. So there's some additional benefits, which is great. The construction costs for the wetlands restoration is approximately $1.392 million. That's what was estimated this past year. And the bridge replacement would be about $3.26 million. I have had conversations with the Cape Cod Conservation District, and they are very, very interested in this project, and specifically the replacement of the culvert. And I know for a fact it was included in their application for federal funds this past year. We don't know if we've been selected yet, but I think we have a very good chance of that. So I'm asking the CPC to consider funding our applications, because it's a critical next step for this project. If anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Now, the phase 3, would that all be covered with other funding than CPA?
Yes, I'm sure we would be back for some additional incremental funds. I would feel confident about that. But no, the construction numbers are much higher than I would ever consider coming to CPC for. It was very interesting. I presented to the Dennis Select Board recently, and one of the first questions they had was whether or not I had applied to the Dennis CPC. And I said I had not. And the selectman said, do it right away. And I've met with their chairman, and they're very interested in this project as well. I think there's some interesting precedents where Yarmouth CPC has funded Dennis Playhouse and others projects. So it's going to be great to begin a working relationship with them. So I'm confident that will be the case.
That would have been my first question. That would be contingent. I think we'd make that a contingency that you do apply.
Mhm. It's on my list, Gary.
It's certainly to their benefit.
Yes, and that's been an education process, because initially I had some pushback, but we've gone a long way to educating them to the importance of this for the entire river.
Would you say, like, what's the proportion in the Friends of Bass River group of Yarmouth to Dennis residents?
Great question. I'm going to start by saying proportion of board members. We have more Dennis board members than Yarmouth. It's only by one, but we have more. Right now, we have approximately 1,500 to 1,600 members, and it's essentially split right down the middle, which we're pretty excited about.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Thank you. This is of course, a wonderful project. Just a couple of probably questions out of curiosity. We talked about the 60-foot wide bridge. That's on North Dennis Road?
It is.
60 feet wide?
That was in 1873, I think it was. Town meeting voted for a bridge in that location, and it was nearly the full width, which was 18 feet wide at the time. I guess they had some problem maintaining it. It was replaced by historic granite culvert. I have it somewhere. I have a photograph of it somewhere. No, I can't find it right now, but and then about 12 years ago, that historic granite culvert was replaced by a precast concrete box, but only 6 feet wide. You know, it was replaced in kind. In my youth, that Crab Creek was about 18 feet wide. It's now 56 feet wide because of all the increased volume of water and erosion and undercut. So we're creating a lot of damage to that area. So if we're able to get that approved, the 60-foot wide bridge would really eliminate those problems.
And that's the 3.26 million.
Correct. Yeah.
The other question I had, I read through some of the letters from, I guess, as a selectman and different people, Jeff Colby, I think. And there were a number of concerns about involvement of the town. Have you started to address those or?
Oh, for sure. We, in the first phase of this project, we had bi-weekly project update meetings, and DPW with Jeff Colby, sometimes the town engineer, always Kelly Grant from Conservation and Carl Van Hoen from Natural Resources. They've involved from the very beginning. And I feel like their involvement was one of the reasons we were so successful getting to the 60% design phase. In my conversation with members of the Mass DER, they were just amazed that we were beyond the 25% construction phase that they expected. And I also reported that in our report to SNEP, Southern New England Estuaries Program. They also were just amazed we were able to progress so fast. It's a real credit to the team effort we had. Great engineering firms, and Friends of Bass River was obviously involved in every meeting.
Great. And finally, I just want to thank you for this project. I mean, it's just so important.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate your work.
George?
Yeah, I have a few questions. Rick, from a budget standpoint, the other funding list here, this, the SNEP program, Pond Foundation, Mass DER, Lingos. Now, Lingos, you show applying for this in November 2022. Is that a typo?
No.
Because it says it'll be awarded in February of 2022.
Oh, I'm sorry. That one should have been November of 2021. That's correct.
Okay, so we just need to.
We probably have, George, 12 grant applications out there right now in space.
So, okay, just so we just need to fix that typo. So is it my understanding then that the 65,000, which is the total of the permitting, is coming from the total of all of the amount requested here?
Yes.
So that totals 340,000.
Oh, I think that's because you're looking at the other sources. I think that
Other funding.
other funding. Yeah, that's on us. We have a full-time grant writer, and we're responsible for those.
Okay, so where is the 65,000 coming from?
From-
Other funds.
From other,
So if you look at other funds,
I need to find that.
I think it's 85. I don't.
Yeah.
well, it's 20 for, I'm sorry, it's a total of 85. I'm focusing on the
He's just focusing.
other funding sources for the pedestrian bridge, 30-foot.
Yeah, that's all design work, George, and we're gonna find other sources for that. Why can't I put my finger on that? Please excuse me,
Sure.
No, it's not. It's, do you have our application? Because that would have had it. Yeah, there it is. Thank you very much. So other funds are coming from our applications to other grants that are out there. We're looking for the 102 from the CPA funds. Those are funds are coming from our other grant applications.
Okay, but, correct me, Gary, if I'm wrong, I mean, we'd want to look at the timing, credibility of the 65 coming in, because of the total project cost is 187.5. So if our investment is 102, Rick, I think, my understanding of the way this other funding works is that the 65,000 down here would be the list of where you are anticipating those coming from.
So what I'm asking for from CPA is the 30,500 for just permitting.
Yep.
And the 62,000 for the additional North Dennis Road studies,
Yep, I get
boring
that.
and things.
Yep.
The other things are incremental to the project that don't have to happen in this permitting process, because it's work with a phase that's probably phase 3 or 4. Because this would all happen after the dirt work was done.
Mhm.
So the walkways and things are at the very end of the project.
Okay, so really this last column doesn't relate to the, to the permitting.
Correct. That's exactly right.
So really the total of the project from a CPA standpoint is 102,500.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the 62, the 30, and the 10.
Right.
Thank you,
So the
Christine.
other funds are just information.
Informational for steps down the road.
So, and once again, what we're looking at, Gary, is 187.5 for, the permitting with
Essentially, I think what you might be getting at is, as far as the permitting, we are funding 100% of it.
that is correct.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to point out, is that,
So is it my understanding that you need to get the permit to apply for these other funds?
Yes. Because I'm looking at DER funds.
Yeah.
And probably part of our SNEP application for next year. By having the permits in hand or in process, it enhances our ability to get other funds.
Similar to what we did with the drive-in.
There will be a very significant announcement coming from the Commonwealth of Mass very soon. I'm not able to tell you what it is yet, but.
Don't come in and say that.
and we're just gonna have to wait.
I understand.
We'll have to put it on hold.
I blew it.
Our question is, are we willing to fund 100% of seed money to keep the drive?
Right.
And that's what we did with the drive-in.
So, however, if that's, I would suggest that the other funds should be 0 because they relate to futures.
I know what you're getting at, and I wouldn't disagree.
Okay, so that's my point.
I think that's a real fair point, George.
Yeah, it's confusing.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yes.
That's what happens when you have a DY grad doing this kind of work. You know?
You're doing fine.
That's why you need a Nasi grad.
And Northeastern MBA to keep you both honest.
My daughter toured there on Saturday.
Good school.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Okay, so that good for you, George?
I'm done.
All right, Deb?
No, I'm good. You answered my questions.
All right. Nate? Do you have any?
I'm all set. No questions. I look forward to the project. Looks great.
We haven't voted for it yet, Nate. But it's my opinion, it's a great project.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
We're not asking for an exorbitant amount of seed money, where the end benefit could be huge.
Yeah, we haven't even talked about the recreational opportunities here. There's some great ones.
Oh, yeah.
So our worst case scenario, which you have to bring up, you go through all this, get permitted, you can't get any more funding, and nothing ever happens. So do we take that risk? Would be our question. I myself would.
It was the chicken and the egg. If you don't do the. first
Yeah,
step,
we went through this
and
with
get the
the
other,
drive-in,
you'll
we
get the
talked
rest.
$7 million. That they came to us the first time, but you know, give them half of it, well, then we get significant other funds
Yeah.
after that. So,
Next year, if we, which I'm very confident we will qualify for an additional SNEP grant, we will have a match responsibility there. For instance, if we applied for the same or a similar amount as we did last time, which was about $300,000, we had about a $90,000 match we had to come up with, so.
we know beyond this, we would definitely be looking for that before we go.
Sure. Of course.
Okay. Any other questions? Don, do you have any?
I
You
don't, I
know
think
about,
you-
after what we just did in phase one about getting your funds.
I know that so well.
I don't want to hear about it.
We made progress on it, we got it.
Yes, we did. And we're gonna, from the very beginning, work closely with the finance department to make sure that everybody's on the same page.
Great, wonderful,
So as long as you're aware of that going forward,
very much.
you know, great project. Say, keep going.
Thank you.
And we will
Thank
let
you
you
all very
know,
much.
we will vote on this probably in the next 2 weeks, and we will let you know.
Great, thanks so much for your time.
And,
Thanks,
All
Rick.
right, thanks, Rick.
and we'll get a cleaned up
Yeah.
submission.
Do you want to have him redo this or just?
That's up to the admin, but I'm just asking that question.
Yeah, how do you want to handle that? I agree with what George is saying. That should just not be on here. The other
We're only
funds.
approving this column anyhow.
Yeah, but we don't want to even go to town meeting showing that because it's
Oh, all right.
confusing.
But Gary,
Okay,
the thing is, the project is 187.5. You can't do the other, you can't do the right column without the left column. So it's all one
probably, yeah.
project.
You're on that right column.
No, that's not what,
Get it back.
that's not what I heard, is that these are the funds for downstream, right?
How
Yes.
far downstream though?
Because the
18
permit,
months?
so they have nothing to, those
Right.
costs in the right column have nothing to do with the permitting project.
Right.
Is that correct?
187 is not the total. of the
That's right.
base.
The
But-
total is 1025.
Okay, just so help me to understand. But if you don't get the permits, you can't do the things in the right column.
But the right column, this is just a snapshot of it. These are not other funds. My understanding again is that other funds listed here to defray some of the CPA costs. So if Rick had put 30,000 in other funds, then our cost would be 70,500. So these are just extraneous, Paul, at this time. So the total of the permitting process, our dime is 1025.
That's correct. The way I
Okay.
interpret it.
Yep, that is absolutely.
Okay,
No, I totally get that part of it. but-
right.
okay,
So
right.
this is confusing having this here, Paul. You're right. These other funds are going to be needed downstream, but for the immediate,
They're future parts of the overall.
that's right, not permitting. Okay, Paul, you got it?
Yeah, well, I understand what you're saying.
Okay.
Okay.
So I think if we're gonna take out the right-hand column, we have to change it 187.5.
That's right.
Thank you, Rick, for all your hard work. All right.
Thanks, Rick.
The only thing I would ask about that is that consistent with other applications we have where CPA funds are requested? Let's say, let's use this format in the left-hand column. And the other funds in the right-hand column rely on those CPA funds in order to produce that final project.
Correct.
So, if you look at it and I won't belabor it, but that's why I'm a little bit. I just like to see other projects that come up and do they use the same kind of approach.
I think we did it similar with the driver,
So to,
because we had a total cost on the
Right.
driver, I believe, is $7 million.
So partially to Paul's point, looking back up at Rick Bishop's salary, that for this phase, which is permitting, Rick's total cost is 30, of which we are paying 10.
Mhm.
So to Paul's point, the total cost of this is 122.5. right? Because they're coming up with 20,000 to pay for Rick's. Is that correct?
I don't.
You would
see it that
think.
way, 'cause I don't see that 20 is, but to me, that's coming out of the next phase.
Okay, all
We
right,
have to permit. And the only reason we're discussing this, we get to town meeting, we want to be totally transparent.
Not totally.
and Make sure they understand.
Yep.
Because if we're not,
yep.
we don't want them not understand.
And I think you're right, Gary. Scratch what I just said. It's 1025.
I think it's 1025. That's it.
Yep.
I mean, you can always put the other funds in parentheses and legal.
No,
But I don't like doing it. Right now, for this phase, you're asking for 1025, which is basically 100% of the permit.
that's correct. That's right.
So town meeting.
That's
doesn't wanna do that, fine. But I think we need to tell them we're doing that,
Right,
but we're the seedling.
exactly. Yep.
Okay, but case in point, okay, and just please help me with this. I'm looking now at, in order to, let's say, kind of to defend this approach, and I could be wrong, in the project considering the Affordable Housing Trust, on their application, the grand total of their request is 365,811. Okay, now, okay, well, maybe
That's affordable housing.
affordable housing. So,
Okay.
so they added up their cost estimates in a similar left-hand column. Now, I'm assuming does this add up to that?
Mhm.
Okay, and then other funds, they have other
Yeah,
money.
So here's your other total for that column,
Oh,
and the
okay.
sum of these two.
So how is this different than that?
Because this is immediate for the next funding period.
Okay. And
This is future.
All right, down the road. I
This
get
is
it.
future.
Okay,
Yep.
all right, fine.
Yep.
All right, see.
How I interpret it too.
Yep.
So,
Okay, great.
Yep.
Thank you.
everybody's more perfect.
Yeah, and again, showing the other funding here, I mean, it's nice to see, but again, it's confusing.
Well,
It's a
I know,
future.
but if it comes up, you know.
You have to have
we're
an
asking
explanation.
For matching funds,
Mhm.
because as.
It's
we can
seed.
see, They are applying for other funds.
Yeah, and they need the permits, really, in order to get the
Well,
other
I can
funds.
understand why another organization wouldn't want to fund anything that didn't have a permit.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I mean, a bank
Right.
doesn't like to fund something if there's no permit. Or the permit might be in question. I don't think it will be if it's done right, but
Mhm. Okay.
it is a difficult process to go through. You gotta go through conservation.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I know, very bad.
All right.
All right, thank you for your help.
Yeah, no problem.
Well, it's a good thing to bring up because you have that question, we'd rather answer it here.
Right. Gotta be clear as mud.
Do we have possible vote? I don't, does anybody feel like we're ready to, what do we have, 4 projects on today
4 projects altogether, yeah.
that need to be voted?
Well, if I may, I think we're still looking for information for the ancient cemetery.
Yeah,
So that I don't think is prime time.
and this one, we need to clear this up, and I,
That's right.
for myself,
Yeah.
haven't just gotten a full paper. I'd like to read through all of this before I
Yep.
comment any further on the
On the-
Friends of Bass River.
Um,
So
You've
that
got
leaves
the,
us
The Housing Trust.
and
I think
memorial.
As of right now, I have questions. I want to entertain that I can't even offer to you because me and Christine have discussed how to handle it, but again, it's something we want to do correctly, and it goes back to Liz's and Paul's, your questions at the last one. I think we need to clear that up about what percentage of that, if it's going to salary. I understand specifically what Liz was saying. If you're going to the town meeting and saying 200,000, but they're not getting 200,000. All right, so I think we need to think about that. Me and Christina trying to clarify a couple of those things, but I have questions as of right now.
So if you check, if you look at the back, it should be at the back of the packet, there is a budget. I think I emailed as well.
Yeah, we got. I got. That was more for this budget as we vote on.
Because, yeah, you can see that estimated FY 23 appropriations, that's the 10%.
So that would come down to. We do.
So like, if you look at the housing, 10% is 181,662.
So we have to take, if we did go with the trust, we have to go into the undesignated.
Yeah.
Because they asked.
We
for more than
have,
that.
we have available, what do we have available? Yeah. Total available, including estimated appropriations for 23 is 357,431.
We'd be all right with that.
But would you do you think that you should go with 181,662 plus the percentage for staffing? Is that what you would want to be
That's the
allocating?
question
That's
I
what you're
have,
working out?
how we do that. I don't,
Okay,
as I look at that, I don't totally agree with the way it's being done. That's myself. So I am not prepared to vote on that. So I understand more of that.
no,
Do what?
no,
No, I, think all four projects, I, as of right now, I myself have questions on. So what I'm getting at is I'm not ready to vote on any one of the four.
Can we wait?
I agree.
mhm.
Yeah, I'm going to.
I mean, it's not gonna take us long.
So we'll leave the information in this paper.
Yeah, and some of it we can clarify ourselves. So specifically, we don't want Liz's question coming up. And I'm not trying to hide anything, we'll be totally clear when we get to town meeting, this is where that money's coming
I
from.
want to be perfectly clear.
That's the reason for all this. All right, so we're not gonna vote on anything. And when would be our next meeting?
The 15th, which is next week, we're gonna get a Yankee Village update. Because it's gonna be ready.
Promise.
No, I'm not gonna promise.
Have the stuff for the
What else?
gate information on that of the cemeteries.
From what I understand, George, you've worked a little bit with Melanie on the cemetery project.
I wouldn't call it work. I answered her question.
Answered her question.
So,
I'll find
And-
out.
and I just ran into Mary coming in and she said that she had talked to Roby and they're still working it. So,
It takes a while to get estimates.
Yeah. Yeah,
They do estimates for people, people call you up the next day, where is it?
yeah,
Do you have any
Yeah.
idea what's going on? Up there?
mhm.
If you gotta talk to a plumber or anything, it takes them 2 weeks to get back to you.
Mhm.
right. And the other thing that's been challenging for her is the town records piece, because, and, you know, ideally, we want these town records to be where they should be, which is with the clerk. So if that piece is gonna happen, then she has to work with Mary. And, you know, not just hand her information, it has to be properly documented and all that stuff. So that's a piece that I don't know where it's gonna land in the end, because,
Well, and that's, they have to tell us whether the 2,000 for the digitizing is viable, given the larger project. That's the question on that.
or does it become part of the clerk's
That's what I'm
project?
saying.
Yeah, it gets,
It's either enveloped there or it's a standalone, and then they come back and make the case.
Yeah, so they've got to work that out with Mary.
That's right. You know, this is, the respondent is the DPW, not Melanie, not Laurel. You know, so, and the clerk obviously is a big partner here, so.
Yeah, we're not a piggy bank, you know, you don't spend the money first and then document it. We need the estimates and then an accountability based on the estimates, yeah.
Yeah, well, the estimates are being brought in for the broken stones repair. That was the $5,000. So that's one of the things they're doing. But then the second thing is the digitizing. So those are the two things that are
It
owed.
seemed a little random to me too, because
Yeah, it was.
$5,000, like you said, if you come up to actually come and do an estimate, it's gonna cost you.
That's right.
$5,000.
That's right. That's right. So those are the two key items.
No, as I said, they must have done past projects where they did give some kind of
Sure,
answers.
Yeah, I
Sure.
agree. I
Yeah.
can give some budget.
that's right. Comparable. You know, that's all you're looking for. And then, because we'll do it not to exceed number
Mhm.
as we
Mhm.
usually do, so, but we can only do that based on some paper from a vendor.
Because I have an ancient stone up in Tacoma Road in New York, that's in 3 pieces, so I'm interested in how much is it gonna cost to fix it.
Sorry, you can't piggyback on that.
All right, do we have anything on staff updates?
Just, I gave you the budget.
I guess just getting back to that, we're gonna have to decide at what point do we have any information for next week.
Monday. The agenda has to be posted by Monday, so.
Well, that gives you Thursday and Friday.
Right.
So when's the absolute deadline for the warrant?
I haven't seen that date yet.
Really?
That's usually in January.
It's usually in
Right.
January,
Right,
but it's varied anywhere from January 4th to the end of January.
yeah.
I just don't want to have a meeting like a week before Christmas and we don't have anything new.
Well, right, because next week is the 15th. The
Yeah.
following week is, I think, the
22nd.
26th, yeah, so you don't want that date. So the week after is that week between Christmas and New Year's.
Yep.
So you'd rather do that than the 15th, you think? The 29th, 15th to the 22nd, which you don't want, or the 29th.
Mhm.
Myself, I prefer the 29th, I'll be here. But if you go to like January, I think January 8th, I leave.
All right, well, January 5th is the Wednesday.
January 5th would be, you could do the votes. Either they had the stuff for then or they don't.
Yeah, I mean, by that time,
They don't have
right,
it by then. Not gonna happen,
Well, then you'd have to go to the, if there's a full special meeting.
yeah,
right?
And there's nothing special about Yankee Village presentation next week. I mean, they were supposed to do planting this fall, now it's gonna be next fall. I mean,
You know, if they're gonna plant this fall, by the way, it's winter.
It's cold.
fall is gone.
right, right.
So we're only 5 years into the project. It's gonna be an 8-year
You
project.
knew, yeah, you knew I was gonna do that.
It's the Cape Cod way.
Yeah.
I don't have the wood chips disintegrated yet.
They have to be cleared out. Because they didn't bring in, it wasn't supposed to be wood chips that they brought in. They were supposed to bring in something else that could be ground up into the soil to amend the soil.
Right.
Wood chips doesn't do that. Wood
No.
chips have to be removed.
But that was the answer for the holdup before. They were waiting for them to deteriorate.
Yeah.
I go, well, we better wait 10 years because that's how long it's gonna take.
Well, my longest project in New
But it
England
won't take long to rake them up
is 17 years, 17 years for a bridge.
or shoot for that.
I believe it, I believe it.
Right, so
So you want to go with the 5th, January 5th for your next meeting?
Yeah. it'll
That's
be-
fine with me.
Everybody else's pleasure.
Either the information's here or it isn't.
Right, gives them time. You can, give them a drop dead date based on our
That
next
will
meeting.
be
Right,
dropped
that's
dead
what I'll-
date.
get back to all the applicants and let them know that
Yeah.
really they should be in touch with me that the
Mhm.
29th, the week before, so that we know
Yeah, I
whether or
mean,
not they're gonna get voted on the 5th, because
Right.
if,
I don't want information coming into. us
right, on the
5th.
4th,
I'd
yeah.
like it, like, the week
Mhm.
before.
Mhm.
yeah. Do you want to talk about the timing? The 3
No,
o'clock
I
time?
just, I was in a little panic today,
Okay.
3 o'clock is getting a little difficult for me. Like, pick
Would
up,
you rather do later?
yeah, I'd rather do like 5 o'clock, but I don't know if that,
I myself would rather do 5, but
yeah.
I'm fine with 5.
yeah.
Is that the second Wednesday?
Usually
January
it's just, January 5th is the first Wednesday, because
It's the first
this
Wednesday.
group usually just meets for, whatever, 8 weeks out of the year. And it could be every Wednesday if we need to, if we have a lot, or it could skip a few Wednesdays. So, because I know you have rec on Wednesday nights at
The
5,
second Wednesday
second Wednesday at
Yeah.
5.
at 5.
Oh,
But
okay.
realistically, I don't know how many real conflicts that would be. It would always depend on the volume of applicants in any given year, right?
No, we can always change it. Talk about this one for now.
Okay.
So 5 o'clock's better for me.
And what date, for a specific date? Are you
For
talking?
January 5th?
At 5?
Yeah,
Mhm.
so that's the first Wednesday. But that makes it easier for you, Deb, because then it's always Wednesday. Fun.
No, because the following Wednesday I'll have the rec along with tonight.
I'm retired, I'm flexible.
Yeah. Well, I thought I would be flexible too in my retirement, but evidently,
I know that feeling.
Oh, yeah. Unbelievable.
that's okay.
I don't normally leave work 5 or 6, so coming here at 3 is
Hmm.
work for myself, but it still
Yep.
cuts into my work.
All right.
So maybe we'll go to 5 o'clock for the next meeting and then evaluate it from there.
Yep.
Check with everybody and see
Yeah.
how that works. for
Yeah.
everybody.
You want to ask Nate?
What do you think, Nate?
Yeah, it's fine with me. I've just changed it on my phone, so I'm good.
Because really, after voting, it's the finance committee meeting, which is in the evening, the board of selectmen meeting, which is in the evening, maybe
Oh,
one
yeah,
prep
yeah, like
meeting.
9:30, it's by the time they get me up there.
Yeah, right. So it's just that window for really from September to, say, December. That, if 5 o'clock is fine, 5 o'clock is fine. Whatever you guys want to do is good with me.
Fine with me, the reason we went to 3 is because of Gloria and Tom. When they come out after dark.
Ah,
That's where the
okay,
3 came from.
okay. And I
And I
will-
should, I don't know when I'm having my other eye surgery, but, but I got my eye on you anyhow, This eye is done. The other eye is not.
What do you have, a cataract? or something?
Yeah,
Yeah, you see better after that anyway.
yeah, I can see brighter. If I
Yeah,
close this eye, I can see
Hmm.
brighter and more.
Good,
I'll
See
try
the grandkids.
slowly.
excellent.
Yeah.
What about the minutes? You want to vote on the minutes?
Mhm.
I'm getting caught up finally.
Good.
Yeah, they're good. I make
Was
a,
it like a flashback? It was for me proofing them. I was like, oh, yeah, I remember that
we remember
meeting.
that.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, November 17th, a lot happened. You did well. All right.
yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is anything going on with Higgins Grove?
At this point, no. At this point, no, we don't need to really be discussing it. Karen has reached out to the Realtor and he doesn't have any information that he can provide us at this point, so.
Okay.
So it's still on hold. I mean, I guess the good side, it's not like anybody else is putting an offer on it.
Yeah, I just right here. Now,
it's still open. Actually, that's
If
another
the other
question.
agreement expired, then what's going on? Yeah, that's my question.
Um, We actually, I would,
They know we're interested. It's not, we can do anything beyond that.
you know, the other question that just occurred to me though, when I was getting organized is, remember the South Yarmouth Methodist Church? So we had left that kind of open and hanging out there, and I haven't heard a single thing from them, and who knows, you know, a year is, 2 years almost is a long time for a church, so is there a formal process we should go through to like close that application, or do you just want to
I
leave
guess
it
the way you
open?
can do is send them a letter saying we've held it open. Are you gonna continue with this for this coming year or not? And
Okay.
if not, we should close it off. But doesn't mean they can't file again.
But we just don't have to kind of have it sitting
Yeah,
there
it
for
shouldn't- it Shouldn't
consideration.
be just sitting out there, because we have budget for the town.
Good, okay, I'll handle that.
So I know Dave's still the building. Don't do anything else, we can do the minutes and I can hear up.
Could I ask one question about the budget so I
Oh,
understand?
sure.
With the applications that we have right now, I'll use, for example, the Affordable Housing Trust. They've requested $200,000, okay? And in the chart here, they would be under housing, and it says total available is 357,431. So is it? So there's more than enough money to cover that, that grant of CPC funds, correct? So it would be
Correct.
200,000 out of that 357, is
Right,
that correct?
yeah.
The same thing in the historic, for the Memorial Arch, that would come out of the 357, 290
Yep,
that's indicated, okay? And what about the cemetery? Where would that come from?
that's also historic.
Okay.
That's the 13,484.
Yep. Oh, I get it now. Okay,
Yeah.
got it. I see it now.
Yeah.
And then the Friends of Bass River comes out of,
Well,
see,
that's a
undesignated.
discussion too, undesignated open
Okay,
space.
I got
They
it.
applied under open space,
okay,
but the money can still come from
okay,
undesignated.
terrific. All right, just so I know how to read this chart, that's fine.
Oh, I guess we did put it under there, under undesignated
Yeah, we
already
put
for
it
now.
under
Okay,
undesignated.
just for, just so you can see how that affects things.
So I move we accept the November 7th minutes as presented.
I'm seconded.
Excuse me, the 17th.
Okay, motion by George, seconded by Deb. All in favor?
Aye.
I have
Aye.
to abstain. I wasn't, I was
Okay,
absent.
1, 2, 3,
Oh,
One
3,
abstention.
4,
or-
501. 501. Paul Huggins, okay.
okay, next we have September 22nd.
I move that we accept the minutes of September 22nd as presented.
Second.
Motion by George, seconded by Paul. All in favor?
Aye.
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 We April 7th.
Going back a little.
And I'll make the motion to accept the minutes as printed for April 7th to 2021.
Second,
Motion by Paul, seconded by Christine. All in favor?
Aye.
aye.
Okay, so anything else?
I don't think so. I've got,
But on the farm, Celebrate Farm. I was under the impression they were doing something there. Is it just the design was building?
no, they're getting ready to lift it. And do the
There's nothing there.
foundation. I don't know if that was cleaned up, you know, if the site was cleaned up for their holiday fair over the weekend. Making it dive back in.
Doesn't look like anything is happening. drove by there to look at.
The only thing, and I had sent pictures to the YHC, is they have done bracing up in the attic area to, so, you know, tighten things up. I'll send the photos out, you know, to the team here so that they can see it, but that was a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago. And yes, they're, you know, the big thing was to get through the festival. And, so hopefully, it looked like Dig Safe had been out there, so. So the next step is, you know, I mean, the question is, they're gonna have to brace up the new addition because the north wall is so degraded from water infiltration and bugs that that's not gonna be able to be lifted unless they frame it.
Do they have town water in there?
Yes, yeah, there's a little sink area there.
But remember, Dig Safe doesn't do the town water.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Have to call the water department.
So you may want to just double check that.
Does anyone know what was going on for filming at the
All I
old bookstore?
all I can say when I saw that, I go, they could not have approved that road.
It was horrible.
That was a mess. I got caught on it too.
Yeah,
Brutal.
What do you mean, Charlie?
yeah.
But they must have given them temporary historical.
I don't know if it
approval.
went through at all.
Really?
The traffic,
It
every
was-
time they
Who
film,
was filming?
they stop the traffic so you don't get the whoosh.
Oh,
Oh, is that
yeah.
right?
So,
Yeah.
so they're not in the road. There's no reason to stop the traffic except for
just
the
not the
noise.
noise.
It was brutal.
And then you stand there.
What
you-
movie they make it anyway?
I don't know.
Cape Cod Christmas, I think.
Oh, the
Was
one
it?
From Falmouth?
No, it's another movie.
A different one?
Yeah.
Okay.
They were still there this morning.
Yep, they were there late last night too.
It's amazing how much equipment they need to make.
Oh,
I
my
know,
gosh.
I know. I can't believe how many light stands.
Yeah, yeah. it's nuts.
I can't believe how many people walked up to see what was going on.
Yeah.
It's like, get out of the way, you're gonna be a hood ornament.
Not a good place to be crossing the road.
Yeah, it's not
I don't
spot.
know. All right, well, I'm out of here.
Well, you
Motion to
can't go
adjourn.
until we adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Oh, I second it.
Motion by George. Nate, can I hear a second?
Second.
Ah, at least you know he's here.
He really is here.
Busted.
All in favor?
All right.
Bye.
All right. See you guys.
Hey,
All right, see ya.
see you later.
See you in the new year.
Got a weird name.
Okay.
See you in the new year.
Yeah, George, I was thinking years ago. they,
Probably some
out
nice
here, I
hot
don't know where,
soup,
maybe
right?
they still do.
But it's not us recording.
A Yarmouth, like license plate